Today we're going on a very special ramble. We're going to be observing and taking part in two rich traditions, an ecological tradition and a secondary human tradition that's bound to that ecological tradition. We're at a wildlife refuge, a California wildlife area, looking at one of the great migrations on the Pacific Flyway. Nor are we alone in this endeavor. These great traditions. Got the whole family out here too. And I tell you, we barely made it out of that parking lot back there.
Just slowly.
Just slowly. It's a slow grind with the toddler. We're going to an observation deck to take a look at some of that migrating waterfowl that's stopping over here at Gray Lodge. It's one of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife Refuges, part of the network here in the Central Valley, the northern Central Valley of California, along with some national wildlife refuges like Colusa and Sacramento. Some of these last remaining wildlife refuges, along with some private property, maintains the last habitat for this migrating waterfowl. I've never actually been to Gray Lodge Wildlife Area. This was one of the first, actually. This is one of the first back in I think the 1930s or 40s. This is about 9,000 acres. It's riparian habitat. There's a lot of ponds. There's actually active farming that's still going on here. Oh, great. Great sounds too, nature sounds.
How much rosehip?
Yeah, and we're headed over right now to this. Looks to be some sort of viewing platform. We're gonna go take a look. A big tree house. I can't wait. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is gonna be sweet. I think. Thoughts?
I think it's gonna be sweet.
Noah? You excited? To see them ducks? So while we're walking, let's talk a little bit about why the Pacific Flyway is so important. So for literally thousands and thousands of years, all different types of waterfowl, teals and ducks and geese, and all just kinds of other migratory birds as well, songbirds, raptors, birds of prey. They've been migrating all the way from Alaska and Patagonia seasonally towards the equatorial zones, right? So when it's really warm and the sun's out for long periods of time, a lot of birds will head north or south towards the poles in order to take advantage of the long days of sun and all the productivity. The inverse occurs in the winter. A lot of birds will migrate closer towards the equator. And along the way, on those ancestral paths that those birds have flown for thousands of years, and they teach their young and multiple generations. That's an eagle. That's a juvenile bald eagle. Super cool. So along those pathways, that generation after generation for thousands of years, they call them flyways. There's several across the country. There's the Atlantic and the Central. Here in California, we are along the Pacific Flyway, so birds that fly north and south towards the equator, back up towards Alaska. And California historically is one of the most important stops on that Pacific Flyway. And all of our Mediterranean climate here and all of our precipitation that we got throughout the winter months would essentially create this giant floodplain in the Central Valley. And so we're talking tens of millions of waterfowl would stop over in California for long periods or short periods of time. The numbers are down now as we've drained all those wetlands to create suburbs and farms. There's only a few spots left in California that kind of maintain that habitat. And we're also trying to take advantage of this natural phenomenon and expose our daughter to it pretty early. You hear the birds? What do you see? God, what do you see, huh? Yeah. She's gonna really enjoy this deck system, I believe. Yeah, it's a cottonwood. That's part of it. Juggling a toddler with nature. Fun, challenging. Ah! All right, so we got two great horned owls. I can hear them calling. Noah, Noah, did you hear the owl? What does the owl say, Noah? Look at these birds. Who says you can't have moments of solitude with your family and a toddler? Up here on this deck, and thousands, was it thousands?
Maybe, yeah.
Thousands
At least hundreds
of geese. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of geese just flew above us with this beautiful sky and these beautiful clouds. What we're seeing here is really only a remnant, right? Like early accounts of kind of modern settlers of California were saying that, you know, the birds were so many they would block out the sun. And it's not just an ecological tradition, but it's a human tradition as well. So for all those thousands and thousands of years that these waterfowl have returned and passed over and rested here in Northern California, humans have been around. And what a food source and source of livelihood and celebration, the return of these flocks. And these flocks would come pretty much right after the acorn masts and the salmon masts were tapering out in California. And before that, it was the richness of summer in the high country. And before that, the green of spring. And so California had these massive masting events that just produced food. And there was an explosion of biodiversity throughout the year. And it's lucky for us that, like, you know, my daughter Noah and Sam and I, we get to come out here and kind of reenact some of that celebration. We might not depend on these animals for livelihood and for subsistence anymore, but just to hear them and to see them fly over. What you got, Pumpkin? Yeah. A little mini tripod, huh? Awesome. For the record, that's, well, gunshots. Come on, hunting. That's okay, right? Hikers and hunters unite. In fact, we got on our Ducks Unlimited shirt. I mean, sportsmen were some of the original conservationists. In fact, Gray Lodge here was preserved by the state of California for hunting opportunities. And now about half of it you can hunt over here. Over here we can bird watch. Hunters and hikers unite, always. What do we all like? Habitat.
What you were gonna say was
Oh yeah, what I was gonna say was, besides a gunshot, owls, more gunshots, coyotes, green heron, egret, and then, like, you know, a couple hundred mingling voices of waterfowl. Gotta wrap it up. Great ramble. No, are you seeing this? Wow.